Technology.ie, we're at Growth Hackers 5 at the Sugar Club in Leeson Street in Dublin, and I'm with Fred Karlsson, who's founder of DoneDeal.ie. Fred, it's a big name and a big success, but obviously you've grown from small beginnings. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, it started off as a family business. It was myself and my wife who launched the website in 2005. I'm obviously not Irish with my name, I'm Swedish originally, but I came to Ireland in '97. I met my wife-to-be, and as it happened then we moved back to Sweden for a few years in between, and when we moved back to Ireland in 2005, we were moving from Sweden and we were selling all our stuff from the apartment, and we used a very similar website in Sweden to sell our stuff. That's where the idea came from. We use a Swedish site that works basically exactly the same as DoneDeal. And then we came to Ireland and we were on the other side of the fence. We were looking to buy second-hand furniture, and we couldn't find any good websites. We realised it was still only the papers, the magazines, you know, where you can't see anything. It's just you get 25 words to describe a sofa. That doesn't work. So we said, this is going to change. In a few years' time, there will be a website that is the biggest website for buying and selling stuff in Ireland, and maybe that can be us.
Tell us about what was your background before that? Had you been an entrepreneur before? Had you started a business? What was your background and what did you work at?
I definitely wouldn't call myself an entrepreneur before. My background was IT. I started writing computer games with a friend when I was about 14. We were writing and selling computer games, and so I've always been into computers. And after that, I went to college, studied computers, and my wife was also into IT. So when the idea came about to actually set up this website, the programming of the website was the easy part. You know, that was easy peasy. For us, the big challenge was marketing-wise, because neither one of us had ever done marketing. So how do you get people onto the site? You know, the day we launched, it was a decent website. It was decent features on it. All you needed, it was working well. But how do you grow the number of people? So that was a challenge for us, and we ended up actually doing, in the first 5 years, our website grew basically from two sources, 50-50. 50% came to the website via word of mouth. We're very lucky. A website like ours lends itself to word of mouth. If you go into the website, you see some cool photo, and it's all about photos. You see a cool photo, you're going to tell your friends about it. It can be a cool motorbike with Go Faster stripes on it. It's an ugly motorbike. It's an expensive motorbike. It's a cheap motorbike. It doesn't really matter. If you're into motorbikes and it's something unique about it, you're going to tell your friends about it. And the same with every other section: cars, furniture, dogs, horses, electronics. It was great stuff for word of mouth. So 50% of our traffic came by people basically telling each other about it. The other 50% basically came from Google. We were lucky in that we were among the first people in Ireland to use AdWords very heavily. So in 2005, 2006, I remember there was times when we were getting clicks for 2 cents, or less than 2 cents per click. So if we threw a couple of €100 on that, we got a lot of click. I mean, that doesn't happen today because there's so much more competition in everywhere on Google. But that was great for us. And then, because we are both techies, we worked very, very hard in transferring that paid traffic into free traffic on Google. So we used the AdWords to basically test which words are working best, and then we went after those words with with search engine optimization to make DoneDeal show up as #1 for those.
Did you concentrate on particular verticals? Because obviously you can buy and sell almost anything on DoneDeal. How did you decide which search terms, which AdWords to buy, or did you focus on ones in particular? Yeah,
well, when we started, I think we had about 12 sections on the website. Nowadays we have 259. So yeah, that's a big difference. But most of that, the top level sections are basically the same. There's been some changes, but it's all grown into subsections. So that just happens as you get more ads. The way we found the starting point for that was we looked at other websites. What categories did they have? And we took a mishmash of what eBay had, what the Swedish site had, what other websites in Europe had, and we looked at those and we said, okay, this list will probably work for Ireland. And then we started using all the tools we could ever find on Google to find out which words do people actually search for. And for example, there was a lot of time we had to do our own research as well, but it was easy enough. We could test it because it was so cheap. The clicks were so cheap. So for example, when we launched the dog section, we weren't sure do people type in dogs for sale or pups for sale? Because they're actually looking to buy a puppy. But when we tried the two words, we realized that 95% of people type in dogs for sale, even though they're looking for puppy. And then you have 5% to type in puppies for sale. So what we did was we went after dogs for sale with SEO to get up number 1 for free there. And we did that. That was very quick because there was no one else going after that at the time. And then we kept paying then for puppies for sale because, you know, that was so little traffic. But the traffic that came on was good, so we were happy to pay for it. But we moved the bulk of the paid traffic onto SEO for free.
Did you need to use different strategies to attract buyers and sellers, or is it the same kind of marketing for both?
At the end of the day, for us, it's been very much the same. We learned very quickly on if we got 100 people to the website, we'll get 1 ad. That was the conversion rate. And we tried a lot of different ways. We said, you know, people were doing sofas, for example. Would people type in sell sofa versus sofas for sale? But they don't. If I'm selling a sofa, I'll still type in sofa for sale, sofa for sale, because I want to check where do my prospective buyers actually end up? Where are they? So I type in what I think the buyers are typing in. So those, or any words that we had, I think there was 1 or 2 exceptions, but the bulk of all words had virtually the same conversion rate. So once we realized that, we said, well, okay, it doesn't really matter. If we get enough people on, if we get 100 people on, we get 1 ad. So let's just get more people on.
One of the first time I think I heard about DoneDeal, and it certainly was word of mouth, and it wasn't from techies or online or people I knew from technology work or anything like that. It was from farmers who were buying and selling agricultural equipment, trailers, things like that. And I'm just wondering, is that a particular sector, is that a particular market that you discovered? Are there other particular sectors of the market that you found were particularly attracted to the whole buying and selling and doing deals?
Yeah, the farming section is fantastic, and it grew out of nothing. You know, I don't have a farming background. My wife doesn't have a farming background, so we never really focused on farming. We had a farming section because we had gotten that from other sites, but we never really focused on it. I'm sure we paid some words to drive some traffic into it, but suddenly one day we were looking around on the site and see how many ads are in different sections, and we realized the farming section is really taking off. And we started looking into it more, and we realized that no, that was a lot about word of mouth. And I think a site like ours is particularly attractive to farmers because farmers love wheeling and dealing, and they love getting great value. Farmers are under a lot of financial pressure all the time, so they're looking for great value. And a site like ours makes it possible for them to find that part that they need maybe in a different part of the country that they would never find otherwise. And so it works really, really well for them. And one of the amazing things to me about the farming section is, because when we thought about farming first, we thought about it was older men sitting at home struggling to use a computer, but they had to use a computer to get their fund, the tax and the grants and all that. So they're forced onto computers, but they had old computers and they were reluctant to use it. And suddenly, a few years ago, when we started looking into mobile, we realized the farming section was actually one of the heaviest mobile users. And we said, how can that be? And it shows that the farmers were one of the first to actually start using mobiles. Part of that is probably that, if you're sitting in the tractor and you're going up and down a field, you're not driving very fast. You don't really have to look all the time. What do you do? Well, sure, you bring up your phone and you look at DoneDeal. It's fantastic.
They're literally accessing it in the field.
Yeah.
As it were.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
You talked about starting off. It wasn't there. You decided in a few years' time there is going to be such a site as this. Let it be us in that case. What kind of competition have you got now? Have others tried to get into that space? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, there's a few different we have some competitors who try to do basically exactly the same as or very similar to what we do. And then for us, I think a big challenge is, well, you get niche sites. So maybe a site focusing on trying to focus in only on farming. Another site focusing on just a particular section. And the danger for us is that if they're only targeting one section, we might not see them because in the grand scheme of things on all the traffic we have on the website, they don't show up because they have so little traffic, but they really find their little niche. So, but our way to deal with this is really about how do we make DoneDeal being the best site out there. How do we make sure we have the right functions there to keep people safe and to make it easy for them to put stuff up? How do we make it easier for people to buy stuff, sell stuff? And again, it's a lot about the good quality photos and the good quality user experience. That we have every now and then we get emails from people who say, I love your website. I don't use internet, but I use my online bank because I have to, and I use your website because I love it, and I don't use any other website. And to me, that's a great testament that the website is easy to use, and if we can attract everyone like that, I think that works well for us.
You mentioned that you're part of or affiliated with a larger international organisation now. Can you tell us a bit more about that and about your approach to partnerships in general?
Yeah, so this is, when you get to a certain stage, when we came to a certain stage, we realised this is great. We're now Ireland's biggest website, our biggest classifieds website. That's fantastic. What do we do now? That's a challenge. We never really planned much further than that. Our focus was how do we become number one in classifieds? Once we reached that, we said, what's the next? And as it happens, at the same time, the media it's a Norwegian company called Schibsted, and they actually own that Swedish website that we modeled a lot of our website on. They approached us and said, we're interested. It looks like you're doing a good job here in Ireland. We're interested in talking to you and see how we can join up forces and help each other better. And as it happens, when we started talking to them, we realised that this crowd they know what to do. They run similar sites in about 20 other countries, not only in Sweden, but in 20 other countries. So they're obviously doing something well. And we said, how can we learn from them? How can we share knowledge? And they were very approachable. They, as it shows up, they work very hard on sharing knowledge between the countries. So what is fantastic now with this, from my point of view, is we're based in Wexford Town. We have an office in Wexford Town, and some of the people that work with us have lived in Wexford all their life. Now they've been traveling the world to other countries to learn from their peers in France, in Sweden, in Norway, in Hungary, all these different countries. I mean, it's a fantastic experience, and there's so much knowledge. And another part that was amazing was when we started traveling around to the other sites to learn from them, that they learned a lot from us as well. We realized that, no, this is not only us learning. We learned a lot, don't get me wrong. But there were some things that we were doing that they'd never thought of. And that was a proud moment when you feel that we're doing something right here.
That's kind of the idea behind this Growth Hackers event here in Dublin as well, of course. It's about using data, essentially, to drive your marketing and to help you grow your business. What's your message this evening, would you say, to other startups, to other companies? In your experience, what did you learn from what your users, your customers, your partnerships were telling you that you've been able to apply and to use to drive your own growth?
Yeah, well, we were lucky because both my wife and I, IT people, so looking at data comes natural to us, and it's worked really, really well for us. If you can do it, if you can base your decisions on data, it's a way better decision. But you have to add in some kind of common sense as well. You have to talk to people. You can't just look at the numbers. You have to get out, sit down next to people using your website and see how do they do it, where do they click, where do they get confused. We work very hard with that, to look at people interacting with the website. If they're confused even for a second, we try to move that button that we want them to click on. We say, well, they were actually looking here instead of here. Let's move the button there. So you have to balance data with real life experiments as well.
Fred, thanks for talking to us, and we wish you continued success.
Thank you very much.